Greetings from my kitchen. I want to begin my sermon today with a bit of a warning. This sermon probably won't be as slick as some of my other sermons that I've been preaching online. It usually takes me a couple of tries to get my sermons preached and recorded on videos, but I don't have that liberty today because I'm trying to cook while preaching. I don't have enough food or enough people to feed to do more than one take on this sermon, so I got to do it all at once, which means that you can expect me to stop and say stuff, just like that. I might even get up and fiddle with the teleprompter from time to time while I get the sermon out. So, given that warning, you may be asking, why am I preaching the sermon this way? What am I doing in my kitchen? And that's a good question. The real answer, probably, is that I've always kind of wanted to be the frugal gourmet. But more than that, I was supposed to be arriving in Spain today to spend a week there leading a group where we were going to talk about the convivencia, which was a time during the Middle Ages when Muslims and Christians and Jews lived together in relative harmony on the Iberian Peninsula. We were going to learn about what made the convivencia possible, what worked and what didn't, but also we were going to eat a lot of Spanish food. And so I decided to mark what would have been the start of a wonderful week in Spain with a Spanish meal. And I want to share that meal, at least, virtually with you. So here at my house, we're having some tapas. We have some olives, we have some manchego cheese, we have some melon with fresh oregano and olive oil, we have patatas bravas and a traditional tortilla de patata, which is what I'm about to make right now. I've cooked potatoes and onions and olive oil. I've gotten a nice hot skillet. I've put some eggs in the potatoes and onions, and here goes. Let's see how it goes. All right, well, could have been hotter, I guess. We'll just hope that works out. That's one of the things about cooking like life. If you get it wrong, you just have to make sure it works out later. Now, if I was the frugal gourmet, I'd have lots of people who'd be able to, edit it, and I'd be able to start all over again. But I'm not the frugal gourmet. He was Methodist. I'm Presbyterian. He had a lot of opportunities to retry stuff. Anyway, we'll see if I can do this without burning anything or making too much of a mess in my kitchen. So, I'm also cooking in this sermon because the last time I made something in my kitchen during a sermon, it was a miracle. You may or may not remember that I turned some water into wine, and over the years, I found that people have a predictable set of reactions to sleight of hand or parlor magic. Some people want to believe in actual magic. Other people see the trick as a challenge. They want to figure it out. They want to debunk it. And some people get kind of angry, like the performer is a liar and a cheat who's trying to make fools of their audience. And there's a good reason for this. Hang on a second, I need to check my tortilla de patata. There is a good reason for this, Some magicians, the best magicians, the best magicians just want to entertain you. But some magicians actually are charlatans who want to pass off their skill as real magic, and some magicians are arrogant and they want you to know how smart they are. And some magicians are card sharps who are eager to swindle. And how'd that go? Oh, it's coming along pretty well, actually, despite the fact that I started a little bit with the pan a little bit too cool. Let's give that just a few more minutes. Religion can be a lot like performance magic. When religion is unhealthy, it's a form of superstition, or it can be reduced to a set of doctrines and dogmas that seek to silence the curious. Religion also can be misappropriated by charlatans, eager to steal from the trusting. But when religion is at its best, hang on a second, I wasn't expecting that. Ignore the stove. When religion is at its best, it's more like a meal, more like cooking. Certainly there's a certain amount of magic involved in cooking, or at least there's some unseen forces of chemistry and physics that render raw ingredients into something bigger and tastier than the sum of its parts. And right now, I'm gonna say also that sometimes there's a bit of technique to cooking, and I'm going to use some of that technique right now this is where it can really get messy, so I'm going to go over the sink. Hang on a second. Ole, ole, all right, okay. Anyway, there is technique. Like I said, there is some technique to cooking food. Some food is seriously complicated to make, and sometimes there's even a little trickery, like when you snooker a reluctant toddler into eating healthy food by making it, look like a clown or something on the plate. But mostly, food is about nourishment. Food certainly feeds the body, but when it's done right, food also gives strength to the soul by drawing people together around tables and by giving them joy in the taste and smell and feel of the food. How's this going? How you doing there, tortilla? All right. It's doing all right. Now, it would be appropriate to ask what any of this has to do with the story of the Apostle Thomas and his doubts. And well, for me anyway, the answer is this. Religion can be misused in the same way that performance magic and sleight of hand magic can be misused. Or religion can be something wonderful in the same way that the magic of a good meal can be something wonderful. And how do you tell the difference? Well, it's the doubters to help us know the difference between good religion and bad religion. Religion that's like cheating at cards and religion that's like a good meal. Doubters help us know the difference. Doubters like Thomas. Doubters are able to look at a magician and ask, is this person an innocent entertainer or is this person a crook? Doubters are able to look at a meal and ask, is this going to be a healthy meal? Is it going to taste good? The questions raised by doubters lead us away from chicanery and into a healthy relationship with God. A relationship in which we're able to know God because we have touched the risen Christ like Thomas. Doubters help us to avoid being duped and cheated. Doubters help us to find our way into a joyful and plentiful table, which is why I've always counted doubters among my dearest friends and why I think that every one of us should make room in our faith for doubt. Believe, absolutely believe, but also doubt. Test your faith by doubt and then test your doubts with more doubt so that your belief may be returned to you. Both belief and doubt are necessary if we're going to practice the kind of religion that will nourish us and bring us joy. I don't think that it's a mistake that Thomas and his doubts are included in the resurrection stories. I think the gospel writer knew, as he was writing down this story, that if the nascent Christian church was going to grow into a meaningful religious institution, it would have to be a religious body that made room for doubts. And thank God for that, because, to quote Frederick Buechner in another place, if there were no room for doubters, then there would be no room for me, or for some of my favorite people, both living and those now seated in the great banquet hall of heaven. Well, anyway, that about does it for this sermon and for this tortilla de patata. Let me see how this turned out. It's almost ready. Give it a little more heat. A good tortilla de patata should, like a good something baked. Oh, looks good. All right. So let me put it out on the plate like that. And there you have, my friends, a tortilla de patata. Just a minute, let me give it a little bit of tarragon because some of you know that I love tarragon. It's a good Spanish herb, or at least an herb that shares a name with a place in Spain. And there's just one other thing that I think I need for a meal. Cheers. Let's eat.